There aren't many coaches in the mortgage industry who have coached well in excess of 20,000 hours in the coach's chair over a couple of decades. Coach Bill Hart is going to tell you the top strategies to win your summer in 2026 in order to win your year. It's not too late. And he's really talking about taking small steps of actions, not overthinking it, and how do you protect your rhythm in order to ensure that you actually can win the rest of the year. Coach Bill Hart has been one of the biggest influences, not just my business, but in my life. And I know if you spend the time here, you will not regret it. You will thank me and Coach Bill, Deborah, and Dave as well. So enjoy this great conversation we had with Coach Bill Hart. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Loan Officer Mastermind. We are so excited that you are listening, whether you're here live with us, listening on your favorite podcast platform, watching us on YouTube. We are thrilled that you are here, and I am very excited for today's episode. And Mr. Savage, founder of Mortgage Coach, co-host of this for the last decade. It's always good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, my friend. And yeah, super pumped. I mean, every time I get to be in a room with Coach Bill Hart, I get excited. Also, audience, like the more interactive you are, the better. We've got a pretty nice little audience live in Zoom. And of course, this is now a podcast on all channels. If you are on a channel where you can put comments or give it a like and share it, like, guys, the more people we have in this weekly mastermind, the better. So help us get the word out there. But Todd, let's bring in Coach.
You know, it's always a pleasure anytime I get to spend time with Coach Bill Hart. And I get to call him Coach Bill Hart because he journeyed alongside of me for 4 years. It was actually 4 of my first 5 years in the mortgage business. And I always say it because it's the truth of all truths, is that not only did he help me become a great loan officer, he more importantly made me a way better human. I think those of you who follow Bill and know Bill, you just know he is all in on everything that he does. He is a patriot. He's wearing red because we're recording this on Friday. I'm embarrassed that my red shirt was too wrinkled for me to wear. And ultimately someone who for more than, I don't know, he'll tell us now, 20 some odd thousand hours he's been in the coach's chair. He has been doing this with loan officers specifically and others in other industries, including real estate, for multiple decades now. Welcome, Coach Bill Hart.
Hey, buddy. I always appreciate that. Your welcome and intro is always like a big old warm bro hug, like Deb, do you recognize that guys, it's such an interesting thing that's uniquely male with the high five slap kind of thing, right? The handshake up here, followed by a hug with 3 slaps on the back. Like I just got a verbal version of that from Todd Bookspan. Thank you, brother.
I didn't realize just how formulaic it is that we do that. Like,
dude,
all these years I've been like, hug, boom.
Right.
And I just realized that it's a universal thing.
Pro tip.
Pro tip.
The best, if you want to get a good pop on that high five kind of, handshake thing, you know how you get the good pop? You got to look at the other hand. A lot of guys don't do that. You're still making eye contact with the brother and you kind of miss and it's awkward. And then it kind of becomes a handshake or something. Got to hit the pop, but you got to keep your eye on the target.
All right. So
this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I got 4 years. Every other week for 30 minutes on the phone was not just advice on being a great loan officer. It was this other personal life advice. And I was so fortunate because we were a couple weeks back in Las Vegas for the mastermind event. And I knew that one of my highlights was going to be that hug with you and also a hug from Tony, your wife. And I do think that's one of the other things that I love about following you on social media is you also set just a great example of what a great leader of a family looks like with all the things you do with your kids, grandkids, and also just the way that you have a beautiful relationship with Tony.
Appreciate it, buddy. It's the best part of life. Come on, you guys. You all know that. Like we can talk about sales tactics all day long, but ultimately, isn't it all about relationships? Whether it's family or friends or neighbors or referral partners or clients, it's all about relationships.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So I don't know how that's going to play in. So you picked the title of Win the Summer, Win the Year. So how do you want to kick us off, Bill?
Yeah, let's go. Summer, you guys, I want you to think about this. Summer for me was like 1969 to 1973 is my window, What was the great Brad Pitt movie recently with that era? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like if you watch that movie, That was my era. That sadly, that was also like the Manson family era, if you remember that movie. But man, I'm listening to Three Dog Night and I'm at the beach and I'm taking the bus to the beach in 1969. I'm not driving. I'm not old enough to drive yet. And it's just hot and I'm just hearing cool summer tunes and it's like a hang back, hang loose kind of time. And what I know is with most of my clients, it's the same thing. It's vacations and kids are out of school and routines are disrupted and there's more distractions and less urgency. I don't know, Deb, you're the one with the youngest kids at home. Does this all like connect for you right now?
Check, check, check. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. So here's, as a coach, I would just say we have to recognize the natural rhythm of life. The natural rhythm of life is summer usually brings freedom, flexibility, fun, less structure. Your brain defaults to summer mode, while top producers, the most effective people that I know, they choose performance mode. So performance mode over summer mode. And so we have to protect our rhythm, you guys, and just chime in whenever you want to here and also in chat. And if I miss something in chat, call it out, you guys. So you got to protect your rhythm, is my experience. And just having coached enough clients through this again and again and again, if you win this summer, like let's think of right now through Labor Day. If you just think of the next 2 months, if you win the summer, predictably, you will win your year. If you start to let your foot off the gas a little bit right now, it's going to be rough in Q4. It's going to be rough for you. So protect your rhythm. Our minds and bodies thrive on consistency. You all know that. We all recognize that, and we recognize when it's not happening. So, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this, but it's called the Win by Noon Planner. This to me is the number one. I'm not kidding you. I'm not patronizing you, Todd. You know this because this all started with a talk that I gave years and years ago, and you were in the room. You took the idea and you built something amazing with it. This concept, you guys, I show it to you this way because I want you to see that it's like a spiral bound notebook. Old school, baby. If you are on this call, as a matter of fact, right now in chat, just let me know on a scale of 1 to 5 if you're a Win by Noon user. 5 is like I kill it every day. 1 is, yeah, I got it. I'm not so great with it. Just give me a number in there. I'd love to see how you guys are doing with it. This is magical. Look at this, you guys. It's all done for you. It's all done for you. So I see this is pretty cool. 3.5, 4, 8.78 for the founder. Level 5, Win by Nooner. Dave, come on.
No, by the way, I want to qualify this a little bit because no one is a bigger fan of Win by Noon than me. And I kind of want to ask Todd a question on this. The reason I like saying I'm a level 5 Win by Nooner because I win by noon, by 5, consistently. And the planner, in terms of documenting the planner or following it, well, not always level 5 like my gratitude journal, which I want to do every day and don't necessarily do it every day. But
So
Todd,
I'm hearing less than 5.
well, I win by noon by
Exactly.
5 though.
Oh,
I win
okay.
by noon by 5.
Fair.
Our level 5 win by noon. But Todd, here's the question to you: how should people score themselves as a win by noon? Like, what are the criteria from as a founder and CEO of that movement? And then I'd love to have you, Bill, as the guy who I think both Todd and I, when we heard that term win by noon, we heard it from you first, or at least I did.
It was the by noon effect originally with me.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
So Todd,
I think there's 2 ways you can define it, right? I think there's the way that you do it, Dave, which I love, right? I mean, you win by 6 a.m. some days, 6:30 a.m. some days, 7 a.m.
Personal protocols.
Your personal protocols, and then you
Sure.
win your business life by noon. So I think there's the true mental list of people who aren't necessarily tracking it in a planner and looking at every detail. And then you just know you've accomplished your most important priorities before most people have really even started on them.
Yeah.
So I do think that there's just the overall general, I kicked ass, I did the things I needed to do, and oh, by the way, I did them before noon.
Yep.
And Brett was recently giving a talk and someone asked him about kind of how he structures his day. And he says, literally, there's nothing in his world that is more important that needs to interrupt him that can't be solved at 12:01. And then I think there's the technical piece of, using the planner. And I don't think there's a perfect way to use it. And so that's why I say I'm progress, not perfection, right? Something
Yeah.
that Coach Dan Sullivan says. And so for me, I think it's one is you have to identify for your user of it. What is the ideal week look like to you? How am I going to use it? And so for me, that means that I'm going to, every day I'm gonna have my calendar in there. Every day I'm gonna be recording my activities and tracking my results. I'm putting in there at the beginning of the day my 3 things I'm grateful for. At the end of the day, my head nod to Daniel Harkavy. I've got the highs of my day where I'm doing my gratitudes at the end of the day, and I'm totaling my numbers. I think someone who's actually totaling their numbers and using it to figure out actually what happened this week. Is it getting me where I want to go so that you can course correct throughout the year? I think that's someone who's a really high level win by noon user.
I
What do you
love
say,
that you
Coach?
said that, dude. Well, I love that you said that, and I'm typing in here very slowly as I do. Um, every day. That's what I heard you say. I feel like that's what my experience with this as a coach, just using this tool a lot with clients. And Davis, just like mortgage coach in the early days, how many times, think about this, you guys, anybody on this call right now, I'd love to hear it in chat. Pre 2008, when money was apparently falling from trees, anybody subscribe to Mortgage Coach and not use it for 6 months? Like I was paying for it, but I wasn't using it. Can anybody relate to that?
There were like 3 people out of 10,000. Yeah.
There
I'm
were
kidding.
way too many, way too
Well,
many
and I
because
learned how many, and I think we literally went from over 10,000 users to less than 3,000, and we
I'll bet.
found out who's using it and who's not.
Yeah.
It was a very humbling time that,
Oh, dude,
that
for
made
all of
me
us.
realize the number one metric is not how many licenses we have or how much money
Yep,
we're making. It's adoption. It's how
for sure.
and getting people to like use it for every single client. Like just because
Absolutely.
they use it once a month doesn't mean they are really delivering that mortgage coach experience at scale.
Yeah. So I really want you guys to hear this because I'm not kidding, and you both know this, but it's going to sound very patronizing. Win by Noon and Mortgage Coach are my 2 favorite tools, like in the mortgage industry. And it's been this way forever since their inception. You guys both know this because I've referred so much business to you. But what I want you to hear is what Dave just said. It is all about adoption. It's what Todd just said every day. So you guys, if you're not utilizing, if you have this, you subscribe, you get it, and you're not utilizing that structure every single day, not every part of it, not every part of it, but at least get your schedule in there. My experience is that addiction of just staying connected to that planner. You don't have to have the fancy full focus planner, get out of Outlook exclusively. Just start using this and watch what happens. So coming back to the summer theme, just think about this, you guys, as it relates to the Win by Noon planner: morning routine, lead generation, database, follow-up, personal health, faith, and family. If you were to focus on those for your rhythm, just your rhythm, and it was reflected in your Win by Noon planner, the odds of you winning the summer are much, much higher. And so let's talk about how that creates momentum, you guys. Has everybody heard John Maxwell talk about the big mo? Such a cool way to phrase it, right? The big mo, momentum. So think of it this way: if you miss one day, if you miss one week, if you miss 2 months, you're going to spend the fall catching up. And we all have stuff coming at us. I know it, us included. We just did our family vacation. It was tough to re-engage. There's always stuff coming up. I can play golf in the afternoon out here this time of year. Like I start my day at 5 a.m. My very first call is at 5:10 a.m. So I can play golf at 3 in the afternoon and get a full round of golf in, right? But we have to keep in mind that that rhythm is always there. So we have to lean in. We have to press against it. Ask a farmer. If you know a farmer or you are a farmer on this call, July is not the time to sit back and like watch the weeds grow. That's not happening. This is called the law of the harvest. So the 5th point I want to make is just adapt, don't quit. Adapt, don't quit. Don't abandon the habits, shrink them. So 30 minutes is better than no minutes, right? If you're beating yourself up like I need to make 2 hours of calls, stop that. What's it called, Dave? The tomato timer,
Oh, the Pomodoro.
Pomodoro effect. is real, you guys. He talks about the brain science between 20 minutes of focus time and then a 10-minute mind break. So don't beat yourself up over that. I had 2 hours set aside. Stop that. Give me 30 minutes. 30 minutes is better than no minutes. 10 calls is better than no calls. One appointment is better than no appointments. And progress is better than perfection. So as we think of summer, the dog days of summer, the heat, all the changes in routines, everything that happens there, it's just something we can lean into and correct. And so number 7, and then I want to hear you guys talk about this. The summer advantage, if there's an advantage to it, average loan officers, and our industry is full of them, not as full as it used to be. What's the number now, Dave? How many LOs have we got?
Let's just say 200-ish,
And at our highest point,
400-ish, 350.
you guys, right? That's quite remarkable. That's quite remarkable. So let's just let that sit there. But we still have average LOs. We have loan officers right now, awesome humans. Hear me not judging them as people based on their production. But we've got LOs, if you look strictly at production, that are doing 1 and 2 loans a month, and they're trying to figure it out, or they're hoping for a rate drop. And Dave, one of the things that I heard loud and clear at Mastermind was everybody's pretty well on the same page that we are where we're going to be. Like, this is just where the market is, 6, 7, 8s, whatever. I didn't hear anybody saying we're going to be seeing 4 or 5 anytime soon. So, we'll see little, I call them refi pop-ups, 24 to 72 hours of, okay, I got all these people teed up. Let me follow up with them. Boom, they're done. I just added 15 loans to my pipe. Be that person, because the average LO is going to react, coast, and wait. React, coast, and wait. The elite LO, the people that perform at the highest levels, they stay visible, they build relationships, and they win market share. July and August create October and November. I'd love for you guys to react to that. How does that settle over you?
Well, I love the refi pop-up. I always laugh when I heard you. You were the first one I heard, like you called one a microburst or something. I thought it was
Exactly.
I thought it was great. But I think it's interesting, right? I think the average react, coast, and wait. And it's always weird for me because I get a lot of people who ask me, they say, Todd, you talk to a lot of loan officers. Like, what's the average loan officer like? And I said, you know what? There are a lot of really good loan officers out there, good humans, like you said. I just said there's not a lot of great ones out there. And I think the difference really is the consistency in doing all of the things. And I think it's a lot. If you're sitting there saying, what do I have to build as a business, right? Beforehand, we were talking and Deborah was talking about people have to have a client for life program, and you've got to have a way to nurture that. And you've got to be ready, like you said, for the refi pop-up. And if you don't have a client for life program and you don't have a system for after you close to follow up with a client to set that strike rate, you're probably, not going to be ready for it. And you go, oh shoot, I just missed those 15 loans that I heard Coach Bill. I heard Coach Bill talk about. So I think it comes back to the idea of, really identifying what's the next domino for you of the most important thing you need to do here is we're going into this final phase of summer, as you call it. And so I think the greatest opportunity is for people to think about of the things that you just said, be visible, right? Have relationships. Like, where do you need to work on? What's the one thing you can start today and get going, and then do it for 30 minutes. Like you said, don't try to do it for 2 hours, and don't try to do 17 things. Just think of that one thing and then take action.
Yeah, man.
I think the
that's well
other
said.
layer that I would add to that is the consistent, productive action, even if the reward is delayed. And if you look at like where interest rates are right now, they're a little bit higher than what they were. You look at June's numbers of sales, they're down a little bit. And so some could feel like, man, I'm killing my morning routine, I'm doing my daily activities. And then they end up quitting because they think it's just not working because they don't see the reward.
Mm-hmm.
So stay committed. But there is also a time where maybe you need to look at the strategy, and maybe the plays that you're running are the ones you ran 5 years ago and they may not be working. So I'd love just to kind of pin that, either we talk about now or later, Bill, of just.
Well, I really want to land on the one thing you said and then let's get to the second part of that, because I think both are brilliant, Deb. I wasn't going to share this because most people have heard it, but I think it's a perfect place to insert it. The bamboo farmer, right? A Chinese bamboo tree is planted, you water it, fertilize it, protect it. Nothing happens, not for a month, not for a year, not for 2 years, not for 3, not for 4. Sometime during the 5th year, It can grow 80 to 90 feet. Picture that, 80 to 90 feet in 6 weeks. Or did it spend the 5 years building a root system capable of supporting that growth, that growth? And it's the latter, right? That's what's happened with the bamboo tree. It's such a brilliant example. So Deb's absolutely right. What are those things you can commit to right now? I just hung up with a client before this call who, like so many clients now, has recognized that, there's fewer leads out there from my realtor partners. So I'm going to listen to Wally, and I'm going to start going out there talking to financial advisors, actually listening to Dave 20 years ago, 25, 25,
25 what?
when you were first talking about approaching financial advisors and financial planners and sitting in
Well,
front of that
well,
big ass
well,
computer. And
well, it's my 40th year in the business. And when Mel Samick hired me, first thing he did was give me the yellow pages, start with C,
the
call
yellow
every
pages.
CPA and say, "Hi, my name's Dave Savage with Excalibur Mortgage. I specialize in helping CPAs and their clients with real estate financing. Do you ever have clients ask you real estate financing questions?" So it's been
And there it
40,
is,
40, 40 years, and I can still
right?
say that quote because he made me do that 100 times a day for my first couple of years of the business.
That's a test of great leadership as far as I'm concerned. But my point simply was that client, because we have pivoted a bit and she's adding these new pillars, right, of business. So she's going after financial planners, wealth advisors, will and estate attorneys. Like, she's doubling down with them, creating referrals. It's, Wally's 24/7 playbook. That's the point. It takes a while, but it will deliberately over time pay benefits. The same thing, I was watching Sean Herrera last week talk to an audience at his mindset event about just the way he shows up on Instagram. You guys, if you're not following Sean, Adventure Lender on at Adventure Lender on Instagram, he's just, I don't know what he's doing all day other than talking to a camera, because he's always just having a conversation, right, Deb? And then I don't know, I'd love for you to, because you live in this lane, like, react to us a little bit about the way that Sean shows up on social versus most people. What do you see there that's working?
Well, I'd hate to admit this, and Todd will love it, but it's the Taylor Swift effect of really building
Todd
community.
will love it. Yeah.
That's what Taylor Swift
For
did and
sure.
does. It's like, it's not about the vanity metrics and how many followers I can have. It's how many feel like they're part of my community and they feel like they're a part of my world, because I'm basically streaming and making it feel like reality TV, where you're a part of the production. Like, you
So
see
good.
the behind the scenes struggle, not just the face value wins where everything looks picture perfect. And Sean
Wow.
does a great job of that.
But if that's a big part of her success, is letting people in to see that, I definitely see it with Sean. And I just love that. I would, because you just posted on this recently, I don't want to say transparency and authenticity, but to me, that's sort of what seems to be coming across. Tell us more. I
And
would
that's
love to.
true. It's just not, as long as it's not performative, where it's fake authenticity, or the moment that that becomes a strategy, then it's no longer authentic. And so there is times where you see
Yeah.
manufactured vulnerability to try to create connection, and
Ugh,
people are sniff testing that out. The more and more that they have, and there's some other gurus or coaches that are saying, you have to create that connection. Well, for some, they don't really know how to do that, especially if they're not used to being open. And it could be, maybe in Gen Xers or early baby boomers, where like TV or social was very proper, and like it's the red carpet, and it's
yeah.
not showing the mess, but it's the
Yeah.
messy middle that attracts people and makes them feel human.
That's a really good lesson for me, because I think I probably try and come across too professionally, and it's easy for me to show the messy middle. So thank you for that.
Hey, hey,
That's good wisdom.
I really want to jump in here because one of the things that Sean does that Deborah shared is really, I mean, there's skill that he's built, but there's real talent. Like, not everybody can show up on LinkedIn, as cool as Sean can. Not everybody has as cool a life as Sean, with a son who's a bull rider and the other son who's a YouTube influencer. So, I mean, not like everybody can't play that game. Now, everybody can be inspired by it, and everybody can kind of improve their authenticity from it. But there's something that Sean does, because I've spoken at, I think this was his 10 workshop, and was it his 10th, by the way? If it was his 10th, whatever it was. And so I know what happens there. I've also, a lot of the people that are at that event, I know, and they're winning, they're up. And it's not all because of that. What they all are doing is they're delivering advice with price. And I'm not just saying this because I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, but he teaching people how to not just close loans, but how to meet every family, figure out their problems, figure out their concerns, and then use numbers and use Mortgage Coach to wow them. And then he turns that into stories and strategies that he shares. And that's a learned skill that literally every single loan officer can do and should be doing. And so here's my question to you, Coach. It's mid-year, it's summer, we're coming into the fall. How could everybody who's listening to this right now kind of do a self-audit around, do they have the financial freedom mindset? Do they have that mindset? Because if they have that mindset, they'll learn the skills. Like they'll figure it out. So what are your thoughts on how to self-audit on that?
So, well, specifically how to self-audit, I'm not sure. I might give it right back to you on that, but let me just make a quick observation on the topic. But here's it's such a subtle thing that Dave just landed on. I find a really interesting difference between the client that sees the mindset. Like I need to get my head wrapped around that mindset, the idea, the concept, rather than memorizing these exact words or understanding that exact tactic. It's like saying somebody who's got a quiver on their back full of arrows, like, wait, could you show me that arrow again? Because I want to study the feathers at the back and I want to see the notch. It's like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You've got a giant out there in front of you. I'm channeling my inner Odyssey experience, hoping this comes up. Actually, August 10th is when Tony and I finally got tickets at the Universal City Walk IMAX theater to see
Big
it in
one.
70 millimeter. Yeah, you got to do it. You guys, just public information here, public service announcement. If you're going to see Odyssey, do not see it in a regular theater and do not see it in a theater that says it's IMAX. But as my grandson, the screenwriter, says, he says that's actually Limax because it's not full screen. So you got to make sure 70 millimeter. You got to go see that. But I digress. I'm back to my arrows, right? I pull it out. People want to know the arrow. They want to know all the details of the arrow, understand the bigger idea. And if you understand the bigger idea about these conversations and what this market is about right now, you'll figure out your own tactics. Right, Todd? That's what you've always done. You've never been a memorize this, memorize that. You have always latched onto, and one of the cool things that's so admirable about you, I remember at the Masters Coach events where you would connect to, Josh Metal or Daniel Harkavy or Jay Kroll, whoever it was that you were talking to. You just wanted to intake. You always had this beautiful humility around learning from other people instead of like pontificating. Like Todd's got it all figured out. You've never been that guy.
Well, I appreciate that. That's a huge compliment. But I think to me, that's how life is. You talked before, one of the things you said at the early part of this call was that relationships matter going forward. And, he who shows up and throws up, whether it's in a professional or a personal conversation, loses that opportunity to really take in the energy and the aura and really figure out how to connect properly with that other person, because it ultimately starts there. So
For sure. For sure. So, Dave, I did not answer your question. I just made a commentary on what I think is the issue of concept. My experience is the most effective people I've ever coached, they wrap their heads around an idea, a concept, then they figure out how they're going to execute. Average people look for exact tactics. I want to buy that book. I want to buy that checklist. I want to, if you show me that exact thing, I'll go do it. It'd be like if you went to Picasso and said, so show me again how you do that. The two eyes that are kind of crooked and the mouth is over here, because I want to copy that exact. No, stop that. Be an artist. Deborah, this is a dissertation here.
So little AI assisted thinking there. Pretty damn impressive, D Bird. And I did the same thing, by the way.
So cool.
I was ready. I used my Claude, and I recommend anyone watching this, like, have a conversation with whatever your AI platform is with this. Make sure it knows what financial freedom lending is. And by the way, I would have to imagine that if you asked any AI, hey, what is financial freedom lending? Reference my name. It's something that Dave Savage at Mortgage Coach talks about a lot. I want to develop my own definition that's in my authentic voice around this.
Love
And
that.
so first of all, get it. And by the way, I've inspired myself to write a LinkedIn post next week. So keep an eye on LinkedIn. I will post more on this. But
I inspired myself.
yeah, but hey, you got
That's
to.
why you show up to Mastermind.
For
right?
sure.
If you can't inspire yourself, no one else can.
Oh, buddy,
So
come on,
so
100%.
so but here's a couple ideas. You can read Deborah's there, but I want everybody to think on your last 10 loans. So if you're going to, like, where am I? Where do I stand? And you're going to gauge yourself. It can't be aspirational. You have to think about real world and start thinking about your last 10 loans. And one question that, again, thank you, Claude, is, are you providing people with options and strategies that help them make longer term decisions? Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, one of the key pivotal differences between a loan officer and an advisor is a loan officer is delivering a transactional experience, and they are telling what the payment is, what the rate is on that loan. And then some of them show options transactionally, but where it becomes advice is when you start looking at longer periods of time. Like, and usually two longer periods of time. One really long term, which at the most would probably be 30 years. But usually I recommend that long term, more like 10-ish to 15, something that's a little more, people could get their mind around, where am I going to be in 10 years? And then there's a middle term. And usually that's not more than 5 years. For a military family, since it is Special Friday, they're going to be really concerned, especially if they're active duty and they're thinking about buying a home, around 2 years, because they want to know that, hey, if I get transferred and I'm not living here anymore, am I going to be landlocked? Like, what's my equity going to look like? So it might be 2 years and 10 years. And then to be addressing, like, hey, how old do you want to be when your home's paid off or when you've achieved financial freedom? By the way, if you don't know that, you are not a level 5 advisor. And if you haven't done that on 10 out of 10 of your last people, you're not a level 5. I mean, you might be like level 3 or level 4. And then, of course, if all you've done is quote a rate, here's your payment, and if good faith estimate, advisor's not even in the word. You're a loan officer. You may be great at transactions, but you're not helping consumers make long-term financial planning decisions. So stay tuned on more posts on this, but I would say it's a good time of year to, it's never too late.
So Dave, I just have to call out your last two, the article that you posted last week on kind of the industry transitioning out of a rate-driven environment. I just thought was masterful. I've shared it with everyone I know. I think it's a fantastic read. I had never heard you say, again, you probably said it 300 times, but I've never heard you actually say the words rate quoter versus advisor. And rate quoter to me is like car salesman hanging out at the Chrysler dealership waiting for somebody to walk up on the lot. Hey, what's it going to take to put you in the car of your dreams today? 6 7/8 for a 30-year fix. Yeah, I think you're really going to like it. Like, that person is going to be gone, right, in no time. So versus the advisor that you always equip and advise. And then the one today that I read, I don't know when did you publish the one with Steve Brown?
Oh, yeah, this morning.
Oh, you guys, you have to run at this because it's Dave. I don't know if you want to step into this now or not, but it's this idea of kind of using AI as a party trick, initially to actually treating it as a partner or a team member, and then ultimately have it run your business. So it's a brief article, which is a summary, and then a fantastic video behind it, which I would highly recommend. I'm going to be sharing it with our company today. Good stuff, Dave.
And I'll put a link to that, but this is the guy, the author of the AI Ultimatum. And the thing I love about that conversation, I mean, first, this guy's legit. I mean, he was the chief futurist for Intel for a long time. Most recently, he was at Google working on DeepMind as like head futurist and innovator. So, I mean, he's a big thinker. He studies markets. He doesn't just talk to the mortgage industry, but I've developed a friendship with him. And it was like, what should loan officers and lenders be thinking about right now in July of 2026? Then I asked him some questions like, hey, what's it going to look like in 2030? But check it out. Again, another good self-audit. You know, the thing that he called out the mortgage industry is he's like, hey, I bet there's a lot of loan officers using AI as a tool. You know, they're asking underwriting questions, they're using it as a writing assistant, which, by the way, those are great things. But but like that's level one. And I'm not gonna get into the whole thing, but it was good. I got a lot of value
It's
from it.
really good. Yeah, it's really good. I don't know if you want to throw it into the chat there or not, but
Yeah, I'll make sure we got the links to it. And if you're listening
sweet,
to this on Podcast World and YouTube, wherever
sweet.
it is, we'll make sure we get the links for all of you.
Cool. So summer, you guys, I hope this makes sense to you. This concept of there's a natural rhythm in us. There are deep grooves in our records, if anybody remembers records other than Deb. And it's ingrained in us to slow down a little bit. And I'm asking you to do the opposite. Not to say this is your absolute busiest red line season. That's not it. But if you err every day on just a little more, sticking with those disciplines, stepping into that new area that you want to do business in, allowing yourself to play golf in the afternoon, allowing yourself to go to the beach or the pool with the kids. Like, do that. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying have your default be I'm doing a little bit of the right things every day. And if you'll do that now, you're going to enjoy Q4 a whole lot more.
Yeah, I'd love that. So one of the things you said early in the call, there's two things I'd love to kind of get your take on. Number one is you said that you have to protect your rhythm. And I think that's where people fail is the reason they don't win by noon is because they don't protect their rhythm, number one. And then number two is I really want to talk about where I'm going to see you next live, which is at the Building Champions Experience, because I know you've got a discount code, BCE Heart, to save people $500. But
$500, baby.
But I'm super excited because I do think there's some people who need a reset, and this is going to be a great opportunity. So I don't know which order you want to tackle those two in, but I would love to address both of those.
Well, let me start with the latter because I've already forgotten the former. So as long as you hang on to it, we can come back to it. But the Building Champions Experience, you guys, is something that I have been to and participated in every single one. And then it went quiet and dormant, I think, through COVID and afterwards, and now it's back. And here's the remarkable thing about it. The Building Champions Experience, the reason it's called that is it's not a conference, it's an experience. And you're sitting in a room in Sun River that's a room in a log cabin, basically. And they've always got trees up on stage, and it just doesn't look and feel. It's the anti-Vegas event, right? It's the exact opposite of that. And you're surrounded by outside. You walk outside, it's gorgeous. There's a golf course, the Three Sisters Mountains, there's Adirondack chairs everywhere. And what Daniel Harkavy has masterfully done as the co-author of Living Forward with Michael Hyatt, this whole idea of life planning, of just saying, okay, you guys, look, you're busy. We all know that. Busy doing what? Right? So that's kind of the first question. The second is the Mark Batterson question. Mark asked the question, or he makes the statement, change of place plus change of pace equals change of perspective. Everybody immediately nods their head at that once you process it, like, yep, that makes complete sense. I've had those moments. But this is a deliberate moment where you are equipped and encouraged from people on stage with 20 years, 25 years of experience around this. And they equip you. And then with a code of silence, imagine this. Again, the anti-Vegas event. You walk outside and there are big posters on easels saying, shh, code of silence. So Nobody's talking. You're not allowed to talk. And you grab an Adirondack chair, you sit down by the bocce ball court, you find a spot and you just breathe and you imagine what can your idealized future look like. We're in an industry where you can imagine something incredible, you guys. You all know, many of you on this call are living this life right now. But, I think about Josh Metal years ago when I was coaching him, probably 15 years ago. He was quoting Dave Ramsey and he said, I want to live like no one else now so I can live like no one else later. And he's living that life. You follow Josh, you look at what he's doing, the way that he's connecting with his family, the vacations they go on, the investments he's making. Did you guys all see his post recently about, and now we have a strip center, my mom and I, and Starbucks is the anchor tenant. Like, he was just celebrating this amazing ride and he's never bought a new car. It's like the millionaire next door. So I just want to challenge people to think about this. If you go to the Building Champions experience, I want you to realize that for those of us in the mortgage industry, we have the opportunity to build something incredible, something that has like generational wealth and experience implications, you guys, if you lean into it. If you settle for mediocre, if you settle for average, you'll make a good living, but you're not going to change a life. That's an event that will challenge you and equip you to do just that. So there you go. Building Champions experience. Are you going to toss a link in there?
Yeah, the
We
link,
toss the link in.
the link's been
Oh,
shared,
there it is.
and I want to share a few thoughts on it because I am trying to move things around and be there myself
Oh, buddy, I
this
hope so.
year. I
Cool.
I have been 3 times, and truly a life-shaping experience, no pun intended. I do, like Bill mentioned, the quiet time. That's when, you're actually, they're facilitating actual life planning. But a really cool part of it is the people that attend this event in the venue of this event are a really unique subset of our industry,
Yeah.
of human beings that want to win in life and in work. And they're investing time and money to go there. So the who, and there is plenty of time to do life with the who. There's usually a
For sure.
floating trip. That's how I met Michael Reagan.
Oh, right on.
Him and I, the first time I went, we were in the same boat together. And we had such a magical time that literally we had pulled off the side and we're having this just like tears and just
I love
life-changing
that.
conversation.
I love that.
And Daniel had to come paddle upstream and like, guys, we're waiting for you. So you have plenty of time to network
cool.
and meet lifelong friends. So
Yeah.
anyways, I know we're rolling in the last 15 minutes. I do have
Go
a
ahead.
question I have for
Yeah, go ahead.
Bill, but I want to make sure if there's something you want to make sure gets covered today before I ask a question that I have.
I'm good. Todd, you had 2 things and I went for number 2, but not number 1. Do you recall
The
number
other one
1?
was just protect your rhythm. Like how, because I
Oh,
think
yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
Most
yeah.
people, we know it. They just get up
Yeah.
and they react to everything
Okay,
that's going
so
on around them. So let's talk through that.
But at that point, when in the summertime you have something's out of your control, like all the different car rides, if your kids are in camp or have their summer appointments, like how do you really protect that time and that rhythm?
You bet. Yeah. So here's the best advice that I can give you, but it comes back to that idea of mindset, right? Rather than a tactic. And I think everybody's heard of Jim Rohn. Many of you can quote Jim Rohn, but Jim famously said, before I quote this, I want to give you the challenge as I would a client, which I've done for years. I want you to memorize this quote. And it's not hard to memorize a quote, you guys. Your default is going to be like, yeah, I can't do it. Yeah, you can. You totally can. Memorize this quote. When you wake up in the morning, when your alarm goes off, I really want you to run this through your head the very first thing before your feet hit the floor, before you pick up your phone, before you turn on the news, before you do anything else. And the quote goes like this: we must all suffer from one of 2 pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons. Do you know why Todd knows that? Because I had it memorized.
At 1002, that was my first action plan.
So why does it work, Todd?
It works because ultimately, you said early on, it's continuing the habits, getting the great mo. And I think in the end, if we don't recognize it in our head first, that is what's most important. It's just never going to happen. And you said it, you can have an average life. And that's why I feel so blessed to have kind of bumped into building champions early in my career, is because I got surrounded by people who believed in me and taught me to think bigger, right? It's really why I'm going back to the experience, so that I can actually sit by the creek and think through my business vision. What do I want the next 10, 20, 30 plus years to look like in life, and also in business? And the bottom line is, we all know that nobody wants to get to the end and have regrets. I mean, we all want to get there, but it's just, if you just take that one, right? If I always just say it's blinders for humans, right? Horses in the
Totally.
Kentucky Derby have blinders on because their eyeballs look everywhere. And, we all look everywhere as loan officers for that shiny silver bullet. And so if we just really have the discipline to really block out the other things, to know what it is we've got to do today, what is the action I've got to do to move forward? And it's all the boring stuff, right? It's call that lead that you called a couple days ago that didn't return your call, right? Follow up on that, missing tax return that you need to get the borrower who actually did fill out their application but hasn't actually taken that next step. And just those little things that will make you better. And so I just love the quote. I put such a smile on my face when I knew where you were going.
Well,
So
I love it. So that's what I would say as far as just kind of sticking a flag in the sand, you guys, in your brain. That's a great way to begin your day. And you watch how you frame your days up differently with that in mind. Dave, I know you had a
yeah,
specific question.
I do. So I had the honor of having Lyra Wagner, your COO, on my panel at the Mastermind Summit,
Yeah, man.
and she brought up a topic that I wanted to ask you about. And
Yeah.
this also came up when her and I did our walk and talk together that morning. But she had talked how passionate she was that, hey, we talk about loan officers being financial literacy teachers to consumers
Mm,
and mortgage coach. But she said one of the things that she felt, and I don't know if you're in the loop on this, I assume you are as the head coach over there, is like financial literacy for loan officers. And that was actually a question that came up on the panel. And I had asked them, what percentage of loan officers do you think are like personally financially literate? They're in a healthy financial position. And most of the executives on that stage thought it was 20-ish%.
mm.
And Kevin Perenio was kind of like 50%. But that still leaves 50 to 70% of loan officers themselves aren't financially literate. And then she actually showed me a calculator that you guys have that I
Yeah.
don't know if it's been rolled out, but it's or something that's being worked on, where it really helps a loan officer go through and do a self audit on their own finances. So I would just
Yeah.
love to hear your thoughts on, talk to this audience, give us a
Yeah.
little bit of that movement love, and talk us through how we can self audit and what you
You
think
bet.
other leaders should be doing in the industry.
Yeah, well, first of all, my gut reaction to that number is much lower, and maybe I'm wrong. And everybody else is right. I I would have said 10%. I really would.
Well, by the way, I think you're right. I would not debate
Yeah,
it. I think it's 10 to 20%.
yeah, I just don't think it's that high, sadly. And so what that means is there's an enormous opportunity for you guys. And it's not as though we're saying, so if you were to lean in on the studying the mating habits of the ruby-throated hummingbird, you'll be enormously successful. That would be like, what? That's got nothing to do with the mortgage industry. Come on, this is exactly what business you're in, you guys. That the people that have naturally been attracted, Todd, you've always done this, that have been attracted to the idea of real estate investment, maximizing my finances. They're the ones, and again, it's an idea, it's a mindset more than it is a tactic. There are tactics certainly to connect to it. That's why we're developing this tool where we're helping people to look at. I mean, let's just be brutally honest. Think about it this way, you guys. This industry, when people get to a certain level of volume, recruiters approach them and say, hey, we got a bunch of cash over here that we're going to throw at you, right? And guess what? Over the past few years, we have a lot of loan officers that have accrued a lot of consumer debt and they're paying off credit cards at 25%. Somebody comes along and says, here's 50 or 100 grand or whatever the number is. It's like, yeah, sweet. I can zero that out and I'm going to hop over to that lily pad. I'm here to tell you that's a bad strategy. It's a bad strategy. A better strategy is to say, let me come alongside someone. I'd be happy to have this conversation with you or refer you to someone. let me come alongside someone who can help me look at my current situation, my current finances, look at what my opportunities down the road are. One of the things that we try and help people look at are and many companies offer this kind of stuff, but the wisdom of deferred comp. We've got a thing called the Win Together Fund where you win when we win with our servicing portfolio. We've been averaging about 14% a year. I'm personally invested in that. Why wouldn't I be looking at my long-term strategy instead of every few years listening to that recruiter and making a change and changing my t-shirt because they threw some cash at me? Stop that. I'm not sure that we call it this in our industry, but I think it's called prostitution. Quit it. Stop that. You got angry old gray-haired coach on today, guys. Sorry, I'm bringing it.
Yeah, I love this. And one thing I wanted to push everyone, we recently have updated the ambassador pages of First Home IQ. And while as a loan officer, it may not be something, well, hopefully if you take the quiz and you go through it, you get 100%. And you don't, if you miss one because it was a trick question or you just didn't read it enough, that's okay. But I just put a link to my ambassador page. And my push to the industry is, one, first and foremost, be financially literate for yourself. Like, you can get paid minimum wage in the mortgage business, and you can make the kind of money that an NFL running back makes in this business. And even if you're making what a doctor makes and a lawyer makes, which is not that hard in the mortgage business, how you manage it, what you do with it matters. And then two, be that financial literacy first responder in America, and make sure every renter that you come across with, every family that you serve has kids, make sure they know. It's never been harder to go from I'm overwhelmed and confused to I'm confident and clear and I want to buy now, or I have a 2-year plan. And so this link that I gave you is really designed to speed up that little gap between confused to confident and clear. So check it out. And then also, because we just rolled out this new page, we're doing a little alpha test with people that haven't been members, and we're giving a 1-month scholarship for free. Just private message me on social, text me, email me if you want to get access and get one of those scholarship offers.
Very cool.
Yeah, I just passed out my page a bunch of real estate agents, and they're testing, and I've gotten really good feedback. Last things, I know we're getting tight on time, but just a real quick book recommendation. It's a book called The Wealth Ladder: Proven Strategies for Every Step of Your Financial Life. This guy, Nick McGeely, he divides up like 0 to 10,000, 10 to 100,000, 100,000, a million. He divides up all the different steps of the wealth ladder and what you need to do if you're in there to get to the next one, to the next rung. I thought it was a really great read, and I've thought a lot about this because of First Home IQ. But then one of my current coaches and mentors had me talk to his son who's getting ready to head off to college and wanted to talk about investing in real estate. And I thought, gosh, that's great, but it's not the place to start. So I did tell him what he wanted to hear, but then now I'm making him go back and really understand some of the basics of finance. So yeah, we could definitely have a whole show on that. Coach Bill, take us home. How do you want to close us out today?
I feel like we covered everything I wanted to cover. The only thing I want to say is if you do not have that call next week with Jeremy on your calendar, get it on your calendar, because any time with Jeremy is a masterclass. It is a masterclass. Be on that call, be the best student in the room, and take great notes. And you guys, I love each one of you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I appreciate you guys. Our relationships matter to me. And if I can be of value to anybody out there, I'm not hard to find. Reach out. Love to have you on my calendar. Let's have a conversation. This is a relationship business, and I feel like we're owning that more than we ever have.
Yeah, I love that. Deborah?
Well, I immediately went to Deion Sanders. I ain't hard to find as soon as you said that, Bill. And I just would also push everyone just to put an exclamation point on something that you said, Dave, is look internally. Like, how many people do you have as renters in your organization and company? Because there are plenty of ops people and even still advisors that have a desire to own, and yet they're in our own house under our own roof. So don't forget about your teammates. I know we do a lot to push things out for consumers and for partners, but let's take care of our people as our number one client.
Yeah, and know that we've built playbooks and content in the First Home IQ community to help you with all your employees.
Yeah.
So good point that not every loan officer owns a home, not every, processor, underwriter, assistant, dialer, and let's take care of our own. And guys, we've got the tools at First Home IQ to do that. So
good.
you're a gift, Bill. It's always great spending time with you, brother.
I feel the same way. It was my honor today, you guys. Love you guys. Have a great summer.
All
Lean
right.
in.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, everyone,
You
for
bet.
being here. You now have a playbook to win the summer, and we cannot wait to get your feedback. Anything that we can do to be of help, let us know. And as always, go out there and do your best. Take that next action and give yourself a little love.
Cheers.